It's video time, Marshall!
Kenny Smith Guitar, 447. I had a question about applying hot high glue. I noticed that you never warm up parts before gluing. I've always done that. What are your thoughts on that? Thanks. I don't do it because I work quickly. Not to say that you don't, but if you have your glue pot set up right and your work and your clamps lined up, you don't need to. I only need about 10 seconds of time between when I dip into the glue and, like, say, paint a brace and put it down and clamp. When I was in violin making school, I was taught to heat up my joints. And there was one time I was having a hard time joining a cello plate, which is long, really long, and very thick. And I was, doing it the way that I was taught, and I was heating the surface and this, that, the other thing, and then trying to brush the glue. And I had a perfectly fitting top, and then, that was chalk fit the entire length. And when I heated it up and did one last check on it, I noticed that the edge had gone a little wiggly, and it took my top out of perfect joint. And so I told my teacher, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to do this because this is messing things up. And after that, I stopped doing it. I find that gluing or heating the joints is only for if you can't work fast enough. The problem that we had when I was in violin making school is that we had little itty bitty brushes, and we were trying to heat up a huge long piece of wood and get glue onto it, and that was our crutch for that. I got a bigger brush. I went to the orange box store, or maybe it was the blue box store, I'm not sure which, and I bought a chip brush that was about 2 inches wide, as though that way I could jam it into the glue and run it up the side in one pass without starving the glue, the joint of glue, and I was able to get it clamped. You don't need to heat up your joints. Heating the joinery is a modern luxury that we've kind of added to the mystique of hot high glue. Unless you're working in a cold place, which I hope that you're not, and that's the only time. And it's, if you're not organized in your process, then obviously you would need that extra time. But if you can get it to between the glue pot and your clamp in under a minute and a half, there's no need. From Judah Pryor Guitar, I have a question. If a customer brought wood to the for the top of the guitar, would I use it? And have I ever used garmut? It's wood that they use for drums. No, I have not used any garmut as much as I would like to. It's a gorgeous wood, and I know it's really resonant. I just haven't had the chance. Do I use wood that people bring me? Yes, I do. But I have to make sure that it is in my environment for at least 6 months for a top wood. And that's just to make sure that it's at the absolute true proper humidity. A top of this thickness, which is about 4 millimeters, takes roughly 2 months to get into place, and I like to err on the side of caution. Backs and sides, I typically like to let those sit for about a year because, again, I like to err on the side of caution. Fingerboards, that's 7 years. There's a mathematical formula, so just, you can find a calculator online. It's pretty simple, but I think that they say 3.5 years. Again, I like to double that just because I don't want any issues. Proggers 86. What are your thoughts on purpleheart as a tonewood? I like it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I've seen many stunning guitars. I think it has a nice depth of sound with a good character. It's a little bit bright for my ears, but to me it sounds similar, or at least the pieces that I've used have sounded similar to Madagascar rosewood. So it has this glassiness, which is pretty cool, but it also has some sweetness. And the color, oh my goodness, some of the most gorgeous colors that you can get out of Purple Heart. Now, the problem with Purple Heart, in my opinion, is that after you build that guitar, that is as good as it's going to look. And the more it's exposed to UV and oxygen and heat and moisture, aka the environment, the more brown it will get. And so you'll get this guitar absolutely gorgeous, and it's vibrantly, like a perfect purple. And in 5 years, you look back at it, and it's just kind of like a boring neutral brown. And you go, oh my goodness, this thing is so ugly now. So that's my problem with Purple Heart. I like it. I think it sounds good, but not so much for a long-term instrument. For the appearance, sound-wise. Question next. Have I ever tried to analyze the sound of a low-quality guitar or a good guitar using a frequency analyzer tool? No. This is my frequency analyzer, and a lot of this is just experience of being around good guitars and bad guitars, and understanding how the wood works. There's a lot of luthiers out there who will talk about how they use an oscilloscope and da-da-da-da-da. And a lot of them, I like their guitars, but it becomes, for some of them, not all, some of them, I find that it starts to become a crutch where their tone their body has to resonate at X pitch, and their top has to have Y vibration and da-da-da-da-da, which is fine, but I find that a lot of times those guitars can end up sounding a little bit more sterile. And I think that one of the things that makes a great guitar great, beyond just good, is that it has personality and spontaneity. And if you take something that's personal and spontaneous and then make it conform into a box, so to speak, it becomes less interesting. And I see this with a lot of factory guitars, where some of the very high-end steel string builders will do this to every single guitar and shave braces accordingly, and it makes for an exceptionally consistent guitar, which generally sounds good, but I don't feel like they draw me in the same way that a guitar built with eyes, ears, and hands affects me the same way. No, I don't use them, but I can see the utility of them. Go ahead and give it a try. What do I think of 19th century guitars? Do I consider any of its features work better than on modern guitars? I enjoy them. I don't think that they fit the modern sound aspect, but they're a really great third guitar. I think that everybody should have one because it's such a fun way of enjoying a different sound on something that you play regularly. Do they have any features that I think work better? Yes. I think that the way that a neck joint... Oh, hold on. I have an example. And I'm back with a 19th century guitar made in 2014. So, this right here. The detachable neck. I love this. I wish more guitars would have it. I don't use it very often because it's frankly weird on a modern Spanish classical guitar. But the beauty of this is that you can, with a radiator key or like the key that comes with it or what have you, it's just a square peg in a round hole in a hexagon. You can take this and adjust your neck angle and pitch, therefore adjusting your action, which allows for the strings to be set at the proper height above the top to wherever that maker intended for the height to be. So this way, when you adjust your action, you're not adjusting it at the saddle, you're adjusting it over the body. And if you want it a little higher, you loosen it just a smidge. And if you want it a little lower, you tighten it just a smidge. And the connection between the neck and the body is actually fairly strong. And, you don't lose any tone to it. And because the action height is fixed over the top, you're not going to develop the bellowing and bowing that some guitars can have. And I've seen some very nice old Spanish guitars that were ruined because people would raise the action the cheap and easy way, which means putting on a higher saddle, which means you have more torque over the top, which means you have more twisting. And that I've seen, like I said, I've seen nice guitars ruined. This takes away that problem. And I like this neck method. It's pretty fun. Also, just while I'm here, there's going to be an upcoming video about this guitar. Stay tuned. Wow, that was a great round of Q&As. Please keep on sending it in. It really helps me out because I love talking about this. So thank you so much.